All right.
So now I'm recording, and this is going to be day 8. And anything we should be talking about before we launch into these? So we missed the last time. And are these fresh beeps? Do we throw those beeps away and we got
These are
new
from
beeps?
today.
These are from today. Sounds good to me. And anything we should be talking about before I look at them?
No,
Then
I
I
only
will.
have three today, but
Okay, let's look at them.
I went. You ready for one?
I am.
Okay, so component one, I'm reading my writing, as a matter of fact, and I'm admiring it. Um, I'm thinking it's good. I just read something I wrote and I like it. More of a effective cognitive response, I think, but cognitive without specific inner monologue or inner words attached.
So I'm in some way thinking that this is good, that what I've written is good.
Yes,
And this is, did you say more cognitive or some half cognitive, half effective or,
both equal.
okay. And so let's start with the cognitive portion of it. When you say this is good, what is,
I'm evaluating what I just read, and I like it, and I think it was, um, yeah. I'm just sort of evaluating it, and I'm trying to figure out whether I like what I wrote or whether I didn't, and I'm coming to the conclusion that I like it.
okay. And are there any specific evaluation criteria? Like I like the writing style or I like the content or I'm answering the question that I set out to ask or anything like that? Or is it just, uh, this is good,
I
not
thought it had a
unspecified?
I thought it had a sort of vivacity to it. It had a
And
sort of sparkle.
and is that and is that present at the moment of the beep that I'm happily evaluating the vivacity sparkle of what I've read and think it's good?
You can go with vivacity.
Okay. And that's so what I'm trying to get at is whether the vivacity is what I am considering or whether when Russ asked me whether there was anything specific, well, I got to answer that question. Well, I got to say it's vivacity. So
You know,
the question is at the moment of the beep, is it just this is good, or is it this vivacity is good?
it's closer to this is good, but there's a component here that I wasn't going to tell you because I wasn't sure if it was really. You know what? Let's skip that. Yeah, I'm just thinking it's good. I'm just thinking it's good.
So now I don't know what to make of the component that you're not going to tell me because I don't know what we're talking about here. It's
Okay, well let's maybe we should do the other all the elements first.
okay,
Get to that.
okay,
Um, and so the next thing is I've just read the word soul was the most recent word, so that word is present to me, but it's not particularly prominent. Um, so um, and then I'm aware of the music um, that I'm listening to. Um, and then the last thing that I wasn't sure I was going to bring up was that just before the beep, I had written the word erotic. And after reading that sentence, I had thought that that sentence had a particular vivacity to it, and that was still sort of present at the moment of the beep, although not exactly. I don't know how to describe that, but something about that sentence had given me an effective feeling that the writing was good. We can discount that. We can toss that out if that's too complicated.
well, I don't know whether it is or not. Let's see whether we can figure that out. So all these things are all these things present in your experience at the moment of the beep?
Yes.
which is by my count something like four things. I'm admiring my writing, thinking that it's good, maybe vivacity good, but good. And that's both cognitive and effective, counting that as one.
Mhm.
And then the soul, I've just read soul, and then I'm aware of the music. And then I'm aware of this particular sentence which includes the word erotic, that is
Yeah.
particularly vivacity or vivacious or whatever.
Yeah.
And those are all simultaneous.
Yeah.
And what was the logic behind? Well, maybe we should just discount the erotic sentence.
Right.
Why would we discount that if that was present at the moment of the beep?
Um, well, I've been trying in my discussions with you to be a little more concrete and less uncertain. So when the beep happened, I was like, well, was I still thinking that, or was that the second before the millisecond or something? But somehow it seemed like that was still somehow present in my evaluation at that moment. So that's why I was like, should I include this or not? I
Okay,
wasn't.
so it's mostly a timing issue whether this is still there.
Yeah.
Is that the question?
But speaking with you, I think it is still there to an extent. Um,
Okay, and does that mean it was more present maybe a half a second ago or some fraction of a second ago, and now it's waning, but it's still there?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's involved in my evaluation of my writing is that particular sentence. Um,
So that the way I'm sort of understanding that is that the particular sentence that has the word erotic was sort of central to me, and now it's sort of going down. And while it's going down, then I'm thinking, well, my whole writing is good
mhm.
here, and
Yeah,
that's on the rise.
right.
And the beep happens sort of in
Yeah,
the intersection of those or something.
the beep has happened at the start of a new sentence, so which includes the word soul, but I still think the evaluation of the previous sentence is involved in my admiring the writing.
Okay. And so the distinction between the erotic sentence and the writing is of generality. Is that correct? That this sentence is particularly vivacious,
Mm.
and that's one thought. And then another thought is, well, the whole writing is
I,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 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 those are I understand those to be cognitive experiences. These are evaluative experiences.
Mm, right.
Not necessarily exclusively, but at least in part. But that these cognitive experiences do not involve words. It's not like the word vivacity is there,
That's correct. Yeah.
or the word even the word erotic there is maybe it was there, but
Mm, yeah.
okay. And then there's keeping with the admiring it's good thought that we started with. There was something that was effective about that, or what I would like to know is whether I feel that, or whether that's a way of describing what the cognition is. I'm happy that it's good or something, but I'm not. But I don't experience the happiness directly.
I would say I experienced I wouldn't say happiness, but pleased, I guess, or
So
content
I feel pleased.
with the writing. Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything more to say about how you experience that aspect, the pleased aspect?
Um,
Doesn't have to be, but
Nothing that I could. I think that'll do.
so it's not like I would say I feel my bodily lightness or I feel anything in my body. Is this a bodily thing at all? I'm not trying to say it has to be, just I'm asking.
Well, there was a bodily feeling attached to this, but then again, I don't know if it's worth noting.
And by worth noting, I'm not sure whether it was present or it's going to be hard to talk about or
Mm, Um, I'm not. I wouldn't know how to just. I I yeah. What? Why? Um, I wouldn't know how to describe the feeling, especially at this moment, since I didn't take specific notes about it.
okay. So let me say just sort of in general about feelings. I think there are some people who would say I've maybe we've had this conversation before, but I feel pleased or whatever, and that's entirely a mental thing for me. There's no question about it that I would call this affective. It's not an evaluative thing, but I feel it. But it's mental in the sense that it's not in my body at all. People believably to me talk like that. And other people say, well, if there's a feeling of pleased, and it's definitely in my body. My body feels light, or my stomach has butterflies in it, or something. Then they can point to the bodily aspect of this thing. And I think both of those accounts are equally strong and legitimate feelings. So I don't think you have to have a bodily feeling to feel pleased. And I
So
would say they
there was a
go ahead. You broke up, so you said there was a, and then I lost it.
I'd say there was a vague feeling light and not light, feeling relatively pain-free and feeling good.
Okay. Now most of what you just said there was broken up or frozen or something. The end of it that I heard
Okay.
was I feel mostly pain free. Was there anything other than that?
Yeah. I said relatively pain-free and yeah, just a feel felt good, I guess.
Okay. So in that sense, is it the case that feeling good is the absence of feeling bad?
There's a specific feeling when I've taken my pain meds and and don't have a lot of pain and I haven't eaten much, so they feel especially strong, where I feel a sort of inner contentedness, which is hard to describe. So there's maybe an inner contentedness. There's a sort of like the drugs are working and keep pain away. There's a, you know, there's a, you know, it's hard to describe, but it's
So you've frozen again. So Amber, is he freezing for you as well? Okay. So Tristan, you're continuing to freeze.
it's not just
You've been frozen now for the last 10 or 15 seconds.
uh,
So what I would say is on your computer, if you can hear me, on your computer, are there any other apps that are open? So,
to different rooms here.
so I had paused the recording during that, and now I've restarted it again.
And if it freezes again, I have one more thing I can do to try to help.
Okay. And while we're at it here,
You were saying while we're at it?
are you on a Windows computer or an Apple computer?
Apple.
Okay. I don't know too much about that, so let's hope for the best here.
Um,
So I would say that you froze a little bit in that action, so it could be that we haven't solved the issue. The but
Um, so I can rephrase what I had said previously.
yeah, why don't you try that and see what happens?
I was saying something about there's a feeling I have when I've taken my pain meds and I haven't eaten sometimes, where the pain med feeling is especially prominent. So it's sort of like a contentedness. I'm feeling a bodily contentedness. Um, yeah, I would say that's about as close I can get without trying to
Okay,
use big language.
okay. And is that present at the moment of the beep?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I've just read the word soul. I've started to read a sentence that has the word soul in it. Is that where we are there?
Yeah, that's the last thing I read at the moment of the beep. So that word is present at the moment of the beep, but it's not especially strong. I'm not innerly voicing it. It's just sort of present to me.
And does it seem like it's present to me because it is interrupted by the beep, or does it seem like I have made a word present to me and then another word present to me and then another word present to me? So I'm making a sequence of individual words present to me, of which the last one happens to be soul.
Seems like
So you've broken up, or frozen, or whatever, and so I didn't hear any of the answer to that. So what I would say is we should pause this and you should restart your computer and we should reconvene in 5 minutes after the restart. Can you hear what I said?
I can hear you now.
So you were frozen there. And so what I think we should do is that you should restart your computer. So we should put this on pause for the 5 minutes it's going to take you to restart, turn your computer, go through the restart cycle and
Um,
then log back in.
okay,
Unless you got a better idea.
can you send it to my email instead of my Outlook?
Say that again. You broke up there too.
Can you send the Zoom invite to my Gmail instead of my Outlook?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. So you restart
All right.
and we will send.
Thanks.
We in agreement with that? It looks like that's true. Okay. So we're going to hope for the best as far as this connection is concerned. And
Yeah. Let's see.
actually, you sound better now than you did before.
Ah,
More.
good.
So I would say we probably ought to move on to beep number two, given that.
Okay, yeah, let's do beat number two.
And Amber, you want to ask about this?
Yeah, sure. What, if anything, was in your experience at the moment of Beep 2?
First element, I'm thinking about putting uh, or is this right? Okay. I'm thinking of getting a potato peeler. As a matter of fact, I'm in the act of getting a potato peeler, and I'm sort of thinking of getting that potato peeler. I'm thinking of moving through space to get it. And it's almost, if it makes sense, it's almost like both a bodily and mental thinking. Um, so that's one element. Another element is I'm conscious of the music that's playing. Another element is I have an I have a bodily and mental anxiety at that moment. Um, and that anxiety is not exactly in words, but some things that I'm in the process of sort of thinking about is I'm thinking about the fact that I don't seem to have enough beeps for the day and that the equipment keeps messing up. And I'm uh, sort of a little anxious um, about just needing to get everything done in the kitchen.
Okay. Is that everything?
That's everything.
Okay. Thank you. Getting everything done in the kitchen. Okay. So if I understood it right, I hear there's like four-ish, maybe five things going on here. Um, there's a bodily and mentally thinking about getting to the potato peeler or moving through space to get to the potato peeler. The music, thing, this anxiety about not having enough beeps and the equipment,
Hmm.
and this anxiety about getting everything done in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Am I
I
getting
think
all of that right?
I would say that's everything.
Okay. What of these things is the most prominent in your experience?
Um, Sort of the moving through space and getting the potato peeler.
Okay.
I'm thinking about getting the potato peeler.
Okay. So let's start there. How is that present in your experience?
Um, well, it's present in that I'm sort of like orienting myself in space towards the thing I need, I guess, towards the object. And it's sort of almost like there's a bodily memory of needing to get into one of the drawers and get it. So there's a sort of like bodily directedness through space. And there's also, I'm sort of thinking without words that I need to get this tool.
Okay. And this bodily directness thing, um, is that like I guess what I'm trying to get a sense of is this am I experiencing this as a bodily sensation? Or is it that my body is directed some way, or is there something else to that? Like what I'm just trying to figure out what that kind of how you're experiencing that piece.
Um, yeah. Um, well, I'm moving through space and that my moving has a direction and it's almost like I'm not thinking in these words. I'm almost like anticipating getting into one of the drawers or crouching down to get something. It's
Okay. So I'm directly moving toward this potato peeler and anticipating a crouching down? Like, is this like an anticipatory directedness, or is that like in an anticipation in the direction of the potato peeler? Or
yeah, I would say that sounds about right.
okay, and is that to my ear that almost sounds, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to get a sense of is that somehow a physical experience, or is it that I am I'm physically doing that. I understand that, but I'm wondering in terms of the experience goes, is this like a physical anticipatory directedness toward the potato peeler, or is this more of a mental, um,
Uh,
cognitive process tied up with that thinking piece?
both.
Okay. And is the physical, anticipatory, directionality, whatever, is that felt in a specific part of your body? Or is that just my body it's just a body thing?
I wouldn't say it's a specific part that I could locate at the moment.
Okay.
So let me see if I've got that aspect right. I'm, in fact, heading towards the potato peeler, but it's not that my body just experiences this action. It's that my body feels some kind of anticipatory leaning towards or guiding towards or directing this action. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And at the same time, there's a mental heading towards the potato peeler.
Yeah.
And these are not the same thing. They're related to each other, but
I would say they're at the corner. Can you excuse me? I'm gonna shout for a second and
okay.
towards the other room. Pops, father, father, can you close the door and stop banging? Thanks. Okay, I'm back.
No problem. So there's what I'm understanding is that there seems to be sort of a separable mental, I need to get to the potato peeler, while there is also an ongoing bodily driving myself, guiding myself towards the potato peeler.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything more to be said about the mental aspect about this?
I think that's good.
So is it more about the peeler, or is it more about where the peeler is, or more about how to get to it, the mental portion?
It's sort of both because it's not just the peeler, it's that I'm sort of like directed in space towards somewhere where the peeler is. It's just sort of like as my body is sort of almost doing the thinking and guiding me through space towards what I'm supposed to do.
So that sounds like the bodily portion. Is the mental portion this
Uh,
just integrated into that? Like my body feels like it's doing it, my mind, my mental thinking thing seems to be doing it, or do these seems like two things in parallel?
well, there's a mental component, which is just thinking that I need to get the. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more I could say about it other than that I need to get the potato peeler to peel the potatoes, kind of thing.
So that makes it seem like the mental thing is more about the reason for the potato peeler, and the bodily thing is more about the getting to it. Is that right?
You know, forget about the needing to peel. Well, I don't know. I don't know how much that's a component. I can't go into that much more detail than I'm just sort of thinking that I need to get this potato peeler to peel these potatoes, and I'm sort of thinking about, and that's sort of like to get into the mental part. Yeah, I would say that that's all about the potato peeler mentally.
Okay. Amber, you want to go back and ask about the music or whatever?
Yes, so there's this music playing thing.
Hmm.
How is that present in your experience?
I'm aware of it. I'm listening to it.
And by aware listening, is it that I'm hearing it and I'm just directly apprehending it, or is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm just sort of hearing it and apprehending it.
Okay,
And it's in my conscious. It's not an unconscious process.
okay. And is it just that I'm here? Is it that I'm hearing? I know as a fact of the universe, there's music playing. It could be jazz or whatever. Is it that I'm hearing jazz music, or am I just hearing music, or
I'm just
even more vague?
I'm 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 hearing music at that
Okay.
moment.
Okay. And is there any part of that I'm particularly into, or is it just the music playing and I'm just hearing it as it's going by?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. Anything more to be said about that? No. Okay. All right. And then the next thing, there's this anxiety thinking about the beeps and the equipment thing. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. Can you tell me about how that's in your experience? How your experience having
Well,
this?
I would say it's sort of like an anxiety and I'm sort of have two things that I'm sort of at the same time. So I'm thinking just sort of like about the fact that I don't have enough beeps and everything has gone wrong with the beeper today and sort of it's not in those exact words, but those are
Hmm.
sort of the words I would put to it if I had to put words to it. So that's yeah. So that's one component of it.
Okay. And this thinking about not having enough beeps, everything is all wrong. I hear that it's not in words. I hear that that's kind of the specific thought. It's like that's what's happening, but it's not, quote, I don't have
Yeah.
enough beeps or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any images or visualization pieces, anything else involved with that?
No.
Okay. And is this I take it that there's like this anxiety there. Is this like I am anxiously thinking I'm not having enough beeps or the equipment's messing up or everything's gone wrong?
Um, I guess you could say that.
I guess what I'm trying to get a sense of is the anxiety a part of this thinking or is it separate in your experience?
I I I guess you could say it's a part of this thinking, but then I'm also have anxiety about thinking something else. So
Hmm.
I'm so I have this anxiety, this overarching anxiety, and these are two components of it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
you could also say I could also just say I'm anxiously thinking about both of them. So
Hmm. So it's to
And
my ear. Okay, go ahead.
and could you also say I'm thinking about both of them, and that is the anxiety that to call this anxiety is really to name a cognitive thinky swirl, not definition, not defined thinking stuff. So what I'm trying to get there is this, and I'm not saying it should be, but is it that the what we're calling anxiety is a mess of thoughts, or does anxiety have a feeling to it along with this mess of thoughts?
I guess anxiety is like a whole is well the way I see it, the anxiety is going longer than these specific thoughts. It's like so I was anxious about this thing, and then and then 30 seconds later, my anxiety might have turned to this thing, you know. So it's sort of like a this anxious atmosphere at this particular moment. I guess I'm anxiously thinking about the 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 beeper. Um,
And is there any way to describe the anxiety itself that seems to be present beyond? It was present before about that other thing, and then present about
well,
this third thing, and then present about this other thing. But the anxiety seems to continue on. Can you describe that anxiety, or is it that at the one case I'm anxiously thinking about that, and now I'm anxiously thinking about this other thing, and now I'm anxiously thinking about the beeper in the kitchen, and they're all just anxiously thinking.
mm, um, There, yeah, I don't know. I would say it's just yeah, I would say I would I would just say I'm anxiously thinking about this, I guess.
Okay. And the two things that we're anxiously thinking about are problems with the beeper and getting things done in the kitchen.
Yeah, and of those two things, actually they're both probably equally prominent, but the yeah, I'd say they're both equally prominent.
And about the beeper, you said that there were several different aspects that it had screwed up. There weren't enough beeps to whatever. Is there multiple things in the kitchen thing, or
No, the kitchen thing is more just one overarching thing of like I have a lot of things to do and I need to do them all.
a lot of kitcheny things to do?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think I'm pretty good about that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me as well.
On to number three.
Um, did we get every part of that? Oh yes. There is one more part of that.
Okay.
I want to make sure that is there a bodily piece to this at all?
To the anxiety, you mean?
Yes, to this anxious
Um,
thing going on here.
um, Probably an element, but yeah, I would say there's a diffuse bodily anxiety.
Okay. And that's directly present at the moment of the beep?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that um I guess connected part of the mental thinking about all these things that need to go on? Or is that a separate thing? Is that
It's
experienced as a separate thing?
it's part of it.
Okay. So if I got to make sure I got this right, this is a anxiety, there's a diffuse bodily component, and there's this kind of thinky component, and that further down involves the beeper and the kitcheny stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. Then I'm good.
Me too. Number three.
Um, so I'm I'm thinking about putting potatoes in a dish. Um, and I sort of have like a bodily concentration on this task I'm doing, which is putting potatoes in a dish. Um, and I hear the word learned. So my parents are speaking. Um, and I have this sort of vague mental and diffuse bodily anxiety around that is not specifically in words, but if you wanted to, it's something about them fussing around and them being frustrating. Um, yeah.
And is any of that more prominent than any other aspect?
I would say probably the putting potatoes in the dish.
All right, let's start there. So there were two aspects of that, as I got it: a mental and a bodily.
Right.
And do those things sort of seem like sort of separate deals? Like I'm thinking about putting the potatoes in the dish, and my body is concentrating on that.
I would say they're wrapped up together.
Okay. And
They're kind of hard to separate.
well, let's start with the bodily aspect here. So I'm bodily concentrating. What is, as I understood it, what does that mean?
So I'm sort of thinking about where I need to put the potatoes, and my body is moving the potatoes and putting them down and filling gaps. So I sort of have like a mind body potato filling connection going on.
So is it just that my body is doing this and I'm experiencing my body doing this, or is it I am feeling something anticipatory, concentrated doing?
That second thing sounds good. I like that.
Okay. So that makes it seem sort of similar to the previous beep, and I wonder whether that's true. The previous beep was about my body is directing itself to get to the potato peeler.
Yeah.
Is this the same thing? My body is directing me to get to the potatoes in the dish?
Yeah, it's a similar thing.
Okay. And in this one, in the potato one,
Mm.
it's not just that I experience my body putting the potatoes into the dish. It's that I am specifically concentrating on how to do that or
Yeah.
anticipatorily doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a bodily thing
Yeah.
and also a mental thing. Okay. And then the mental aspect,
Mhm.
how does that, how do you apprehend that?
Um,
And you broke up a little bit ago in your previous thing, so maybe you should start about the mental thing from the beginning.
right. The mental thing is sort of, if you had to put it into words, it's sort of like which potato goes where, how many potatoes go here, how should they overlap, how much space to leave. So it's a sort of thinking about the process of fitting potatoes together.
So that makes it seem like pretty analytical. This is not just I got to put these potatoes in here, but I got to put this potato here and that potato there.
Yes.
Okay. With some misgiving, or is that pretty much right on the nose?
That's it, but what part of that whole thing is present at the exact moment before the beep is hard to say, but that's part of the overall thing is thinking about what potato goes where.
Okay. And the impression that I've got is both the bodily and the mental are pretty granularly specific, I guess I would say. It's about this potato having to go in that space, and rather than I'm just trying to get these potatoes into the right kind of a layer or something.
Ye- Um, it's about getting these potatoes into these spaces.
These specific potatoes slices into these specific
Yeah.
spaces. Okay. Okay. Do you have any other questions about that aspect, Amber? And then there's the word learned. I hear the word learned.
Um, yes, this is the last words my parents have spoken, or my mom or something, and that's the word that's present at the moment.
And so is that present just because it's interrupted? So my parents are speaking, the beep happens, and I can say, well, the last thing that I heard him say was learned. Or
Yeah.
as opposed to I had been hearing a particular word, whatever that was, and then another word, whatever that was, and then another word, whatever that was, and now I'm hearing the word learned, and the beep catches me there.
Say it's closer to the former.
Okay, so my
And I'm
parents
al-
are
I'm also, I'm also listening with comprehension as well. So It's not as if it's just the word.
So is it more like I hear what my parents are saying and the beep catches me in the middle of understanding what they're saying? And when I'm telling about it, well, I can say it's about the word learn, but I could have also said it's about the, whatever that concept was, George, they were going to say that George learned how to play the piano or something like that. And
Yeah, I would say that's closer to the truth.
so it's more about I'm understanding what they're saying rather than I'm hearing the words they are saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's an anxiety around their fussing.
Mm.
And how's that present?
This is mostly a mental anxiety. So I guess there's less of a diffuse bodily component, but mainly just a sort of you, yeah, it's not into words, so it's not super specific, but it's just sort of like an anxiety around them kind of being frustrating.
So is this about Tristan? I feel frustrated about that, or is this about them being the
It's about
frust?
the things they do are frustrating.
So somehow present to me in a diffuse kind of a way mentally is a bunch
Um,
of stuff that they do that frustrates me. Is that right?
um,
That would be like
it's the
there's a
fact that this conversation is part of this whole conversation is frustrating or could be frustrating or the way they're acting is sort of frustrating or just what they do is frustrating. But it's related to the conversation. It's what they're saying and doing is frustrating in some way.
so what they're saying is doing is frustrating, and that may very well come from the fact that they have done other stuff that I found frustrating, but that other stuff isn't present to me at the moment. At the
Yeah.
moment, it's this thing that they are doing is frustrating to me, but it's not particularly about this thing. It's that I'm
Is
this.
frustrating or could be frustrating.
So does that mean that I'm not feeling frustrated at the moment, but I'm recognizing the frustrative potential?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Then I think I'm good about that beep.
Me as well.
Okay, cool.
So
That
shall we, so shall we
that's
do this? Shall we do this again?